Welcome back to another episode of It's in the Details. As always, please remember to share, like, subscribe, rate, review, comment if you're so inclined. Your support is appreciated. Today we have a fun conversation. I know I say every guest I have on is fun, every talk was fun. This is more of the same. My buddy, I've known her for, it's close to 20 years. That's so strange, but it's close to 20 years. It's always been fun. It's always been easy. And we had a good time on this talk. Couple of loose ends to tie up. I mentioned to her that I was going to tell her about a dating show specifically. Since we were talking about it, I was going to tell her about a show. I forgot to talk about it, but I'm going to tell you right now. The dating show is Sexy Beasts on Netflix. I have not watched it. I've only seen articles and I think maybe a preview. And Sexy Beasts is one of these blind date shows where people being behind a wall or in another room, just not good enough. Sexy Beasts, they meet in a location and they're wearing full prosthetics. So I'm talking like mascot head with like animatronic mouths and things that can move. The one picture and preview I saw that was particularly disturbing was they made someone look like a dolphin. So you've got like a dolphin and a lion on a blind date together. Outrageous. It's outrageous. I don't even know if I want to watch it just to see it, but it looks outrageous. So anyway, that's the thing I forgot to mention to her. We've talked about it. Also, we talk about watching TV on the phone with a friend. And it didn't hit me until afterwards. She's done this many times. I've done this 0 times, never even thought about it. Am I some sort of weird introvert where all through my like teenage years, I never picked up the phone and said, "Hey, Kevin, let's watch basketball together at the same time"? Is that like it feels like a thing I should have done, did not get to. Anyway. Enough rambling. My girl Linda puts down a great talk with me over the next hour and a bit. I hope you enjoy it. Here we go. Okay. Linda Lynn, it is so good to have you and see your wonderful face
Thank you.
ask you some questions about TV.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. To start out, what is the viewing situation like? TV or couch, bed? Yeah. Where do you usually watch TV?
So we watch in our living room.
Living room.
We have like an L sectional that's too big for our space.
Okay.
So it works really well because then we can both like sprawl.
Right.
Like on the one side. So usually like Jordan's on like my boyfriend's on one end and then I'm my head's on the other end. And we just like have a lot of space to like just sprawl and like hang out.
So not a cuddling situation while watching TV.
It is. So we like sprawl and then sometimes I'll be like, I need the cuddles. Like, come over here. Yeah.
Is that
so it's very accommodating.
Yeah, all that space.
Yeah, exactly.
Is the call for a cuddle dependent on the day, the time, the TV? What sparks the, hey, get over here and give me some cuddles?
I'm laughing because I'm like, you're asking a girl this. Like,
the answer is yes.
There's no answer. It just depends.
Just depends.
Just depends.
Okay, that's fair.
No reason.
Blankets, pillows?
Blankets sometimes. Pillows, yes. Usually, I hoard pillows. I mean, we only have 3 on the couch, but I'll take 2 of them usually, and Jordan will take like, the one small one and like try it. And then same thing when we cuddle, I'm like, just I'm laying down here and I'm comfortable. So you do what you need to do to get yourself comfortable, but
It's
work
wonderful.
around this.
So why not more pillows?
Yeah, good question.
Why not more
it's,
pillows?
it's like the same when I'm like cold, I'll just like bundle up and he's like, why don't you just go get the blanket?
Yeah.
Like it's just so far. It's like all the way on the other side of the house,
Okay.
which
Uh,
really isn't that far, but and then
yeah.
he'll go get it.
He'll take care of you.
Yeah. That's yeah.
Um, what's the lighting like?
So we usually have a lamp on, and I have a feeling that's more from me. Like growing up, my parents were very much like, don't read in the dark, don't watch anything in the dark, like it's bad for your eyes. I think I've
Mhm.
always just had a light on. Whereas I think like either way. So we've done both, but I think usually the light is on because I'm just so used to it.
Right. So the house is dark and there's one lamp on and the
Yeah.
TV.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you guys made any purchases to make the viewing experience better, like throughout the pandemic or anything like that, or no?
So we had moved during that time. So
Okay.
previously we were in an apartment and we had the TV actually just on the stand, but like on the floor. So we have a 75 inch.
Right.
So it's like a pretty sizable
Yeah.
TV. And we couldn't put it up. Whereas here we were able to mount it. So it's probably a little bit easier to watch.
Yeah. Sound, just whatever the TV gives.
Whatever
Whatever the TV gives. That's fine. That's cool. There's no shame in any of these questions.
I know, I feel no shame.
Except the pillows.
Yeah.
Go get some more pillows, man.
You know what? So the couch came with like 3 like decorative pillows.
Yeah.
But they're like over inflated or they're like overstuffed. So they're like really hard.
Yeah.
So we don't like we've like casted them aside.
Right.
Kind of thing. So, but we don't have like I think because we were in the apartment, we didn't need to stay there as long as we ended up staying there. So we didn't really invest in like anything nice because we were gonna get everything new once we moved.
Yeah.
Except we just haven't gotten anything new because everything's closed.
Exactly.
So like we don't have like decorative pillows that we can also use to like cuddle with or whatever.
So in time.
Yeah.
What's the snack situation like?
The snacks will depend. I think we're usually more chips people, but we will have like candy sometimes. And when we try to be healthy, we will have popcorn.
Okay.
So we were just popping like the kernels.
This is at home.
This is at home.
Well done. Okay, good.
But then we found that like we couldn't, like if we put a bit of salt on it, like it wouldn't stick. Like it would just settle to the bottom. So we're just eating like plain popcorn. And we're like, this is like too healthy. Like this isn't what we were aiming for. We just want to appear to be healthy.
For one another.
Really.
Just for each other too.
Yeah, exactly. So we've opted for like microwave popcorn since. I know you're a big popcorn guy. Yeah. And I know you've done like your Uber Eats popcorn run. Right?
Almost.
Yeah, okay, almost.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, we're not that hardcore about popcorn, but we do enjoy that.
What are the chips like? What are the favorite chips or the most go-to chips?
I think like sour cream
and onion.
Both like Lay's and the Ruffles. Maybe more Ruffles. Yeah.
The Ruffles sour cream and onion is that is an experience that that's an experience that feels like they shouldn't be making these and we shouldn't be eating them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's so much stuff on them. That I pay attention to a lot of the nutritional info on the back of things, like just to know.
Sure.
I don't know. I've never looked at the back of sour cream and onion.
Why?
I'm terrified. I'm positive it's like 300% of your salt for the day.
You don't want to like ruin it for yourself. No.
It's the one thing, but they're so delicious.
They are. We can like crush that.
So Lay's or sour cream and onion.
Yeah.
And those are like the main chips you guys go
Like
to?
those ones, or we'll get like the party mix.
Which like Humpty Dumpty?
Um,
There's so many. There's like 3 or 4 different ones.
the one in the blue bag.
Oh,
The actual,
I know what you're talking
I
about
think they're actually
with the
called
cheap.
like they're actually called like I think it's actually called like party mix.
It
No,
might be. It
I
might.
should
I know what
know.
you're talking about, though. Wait, I mean, you know it when you see it, so that's
Yeah,
why
yeah,
you
yeah.
pick it up and you take it home. I know what you're.
Yeah.
That's the one that's got like 4 or 5 different name brands,
Yes,
and I know what you're talking about.
exactly. So for that reason, there's just like a variety. You can
Yeah,
have like your little Doritos or Cheetos or
yeah, yeah.
whatever O's. Yeah.
Do you have favorites in that bag?
In there, I will eat almost anything. Like Jordan doesn't like, not doesn't like, but his last pick would be the pretzels.
Yeah, those pretzels are tired.
Yeah.
Those aren't good pretzels in that bag.
Yeah.
Those
I don't
pretzels,
eat them.
but those pretzels are like the popcorn you guys are making at home.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no salt on it.
It's true.
They're
It's
not
true. It's
good.
just in there to be in there to like
Yeah.
balance things.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But you'll eat anything in that bag.
I'll eat, yeah. I'll eat it all.
What's the candy go to?
You know, I think one of our favorites is Swedish fish,
Okay,
which they don't sell here.
they don't.
They don't, actually, sorry, they only sell the little bags here, I think.
Right.
Like them, but we want like whatever the Costco version or whatever, the big bags of them.
Okay.
So when we go to the States, like we will buy hordes of them. I like got stopped once because they wanted to check my bag through security.
There's
I'm
like they're looking
like,
your.
yeah, they're like, it seems like he has some food. I'm like, yes. He like literally opens my bag and there's 3 bags, like the big ones of Swedish fish. And I'm like, they don't sell them in Canada. He's like, okay.
That worked, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that works.
He's like, go back to your country.
I have to go to the States for something periodically, and when I get to the border, I'm just like, we don't have this here, and they're like, okay, fine, go, leave me alone, you're fine.
Yeah.
So just Swedish fish?
That's one of them, chocolate. So the Lindt fruit and nut bar.
What? I didn't even know that existed.
Oh, it's so good.
Lindt makes bars?
Yeah, like the big, like.
Oh, yes.
rectangular bars.
Yes.
And they have like a fruit and nut one.
What's in it? Raisins?
Like, yeah, I guess like dried fruit and nuts.
Yeah.
Like hazelnuts.
Hazelnuts?
Yes, like I think it's probably raisins and I don't know if like some sort of other like dried berry.
Mm.
It's so good. And like milk chocolate. It's so good.
Even that sounds kind of like a healthy snack. A little bit.
Yeah, there's fruit and nuts in it.
It's
like,
we're trying
to keep barely balanced, you know?
Barely a chocolate bar. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's not bad.
I mean, you have to pay a premium for it, which
of
we do
course.
sometimes. I mean, we wait till it goes on sale, but
Of course, as you should. What about drinks?
Drinks? We're not big drink people.
Just
like
water.
we have just water sometimes. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. When you have some time to sit down and watch TV,
Yeah.
what are you excited about watching? Or are you ever excited about watching something? Like really excited?
No.
Never.
Like
Like you
binge watch things, definitely. I don't know if I'm like excited per se.
You know that feeling when there's a hot movie out and you're like, I have to see it in the theater?
Yeah.
You never have that at home about anything on TV.
No.
Okay, that's fine.
No. I just like watch shows. I enjoy them.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm ever like excited to see something.
Okay.
I'll have to think about that.
No problem. So what are you watching right now?
Right now, we are in between shows. We're actually trying to find one that we can watch regularly.
Okay.
So I think we enjoy sitcoms. So I grew up like watching Friends. I think we were like either Friends or Seinfeld. So we were Friends. Jordan ended up watching like a ton of it as well. And he's watched, like, we've watched it. Like we used to watch it because it was on Netflix. We used to have it on the background like all the time. Like if we were eating or whatever, it's just something we threw on. So we've watched it like beginning to end at least like 10 times.
Friends?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just like in the
Yeah.
background.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, I don't know why, like we just like, I find it funny still, even now. I know what the lines are. I still find it funny, like all of those things. So I think we look for like some sort of a sitcom
Mm.
like that, but we haven't really found one that we love the same.
Mhm.
What are we watching right now? I don't know. Like I said, we're kind of in
Yeah,
between.
you're in between.
We're like cycling in between. We watched a couple of movies just over the last week or two,
Mhm.
but nothing, yeah, nothing steady.
Have you watched the Friends reunion already?
Oh yeah.
And what did you think about it? I haven't watched it.
Oh, okay. It was good. Like we weren't sure what to expect.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to see them. Well, obviously, yeah, see them now, but see them reflect on like
Mhm.
certain episodes and certain moments.
Mhm.
But I thought it was really cool just to see them now and how they interact between themselves,
Yeah.
because they do seem to be still like very, very close and like very like they very much care for one another, and I just see that they are friends outside of the show,
Yeah.
even after all of this time. So it was also neat to hear like some of the commentary from like the director or the producer, and just some of the background stories that kind of went along with the show.
Mhm.
So yeah, I thought it was good. It was interesting. A lot of Botox in the room, but I guess that is
So
what it is.
So I've heard.
Yeah.
I I did not want to watch the Friends reunion,
Yeah.
and I did not want to watch the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion. Have you seen that?
I don't know. I feel like that obviously happened like a long time ago. Yes.
Yeah, it's probably like a year now. Yeah, probably a
Okay. You know
while.
what? I feel like maybe I didn't watch that one.
Mhm.
And
But
maybe now that
go ahead.
I was just going to say, now that you say that, maybe I don't want to watch it. I
Well,
love that show as well growing up. I had like a huge crush on like Will Smith.
right, as you should.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I had no plans on watching it. And one of my friends watched it like almost immediately and said it was
Right.
really good. And I'm
Okay.
like, I don't care. And then like just a couple days ago, it happened to be on right
Yeah.
as I started cooking. And
Yeah.
I turned that shit on
Right.
and it was fantastic.
Really?
Yeah, like the same kind of things you're talking about with the Friends reunion.
Yeah.
That's what was going down with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion.
Right.
Plus, if you remember, the first Aunt Viv,
Yes.
went away.
Yep, she did.
And there was some drama around it. And
Right.
she's in the reunion, and her and Will talk about it.
Okay.
And it's really good. Like,
Oh, okay.
I definitely watch it. And
I will.
I'm gonna watch the Friends reunion now, I think,
Okay.
because I've only heard relatively good things
For
about it
sure.
and horrific things about their faces.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there for us
Yeah,
to judge,
exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Okay, so Friends reunion was good, and you watch Friends all the time.
All the time.
You told me that you recently watched one of my favorite shows, Drive to Survive.
Yes.
How did you find it? How did you get into it?
Yeah. So obviously, like you said, I've watched your podcast, and you just speak so passionately about it. So I'm like, I have to check it out. Like we've seen the kind of trailer, as we're skimming through other trailers. So I'm like, I'm gonna check it out. Like whatever. So
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Formula One. Like
Yeah.
nothing. It's just people race fast cars, and that's it. That's like all I know. I don't know how many laps. I don't know where they do it. Like where they race. The only person I can name is Lewis Hamilton, because he dated some celebrity back in the day. Like that's,
and that was a long time
yeah.
ago.
So that's literally like they said the name, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I recognize his name, but like anybody else, like no idea.
Mhm.
So I just put it on. So I work from home. So it's just during like lunch hour. I was like making lunch, so I just threw it on for a few minutes. And I think I was watching the first episode, and I think it's even like 4 or 5 minutes in, they were speaking to the principal of the Haas team,
Okay.
Team Haas.
Yeah.
And he was explaining that they're a relatively new team. You know, they've only been around for 3 years or whatever, and they have a relatively small crew
Mhm.
of 212 members.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, and I'm like, literally, I'm like 212 members. I'm like,
Yeah.
aren't there only 4 tires to switch? Like 212 members. And I'm like, now I need to know. Like,
Yeah.
I need to know like what all these other people are doing.
Yeah.
Like 212.
And if he's got 212,
Yeah.
what does Mercedes have?
Exactly. So I don't know, like I said, nothing. Like didn't know anything about the teams. So I basically like continue to watch. And then Jordan comes home like from work and he's kind of like, you're watching Formula One? And I'm like, yeah. My friend talked about it on his podcast. Like, I'm gonna check it out. And then so I finished like the first episode. I was like, this is kind of interesting. So I just kept watching it. And then so he started watching from the second episode on, and he's like, oh, he's like, this is actually really good. Like, we just like the way they explain things. Obviously, now I feel like I'm some expert in it because I watched this show. I know about all the drivers and their stories and the teams. But yeah, I know it's like we found it really interesting.
Yeah.
Like I said, and just like I said, having obviously known nothing about it, and obviously now understanding like all the intricacies, like even within each team, and like what really it's wild.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild, like what goes into creating a team, creating the cars, and just the sport in itself.
Yeah. I don't think, I mean, you're obviously really new. I'm really new too. I don't think we really have a grasp of how humongous it is.
No.
And like the amount of money, like just the opulence of this sport is so crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know if like as you were watching, like if you started Googling things to, you know, whatever you're seeing, just to Google Formula One and like read about it. Like we didn't, or I didn't, until maybe the second season. More so because they finally spoke to Lewis Hamilton.
Right.
And he had like, so we like during the first season, they didn't speak to him very much because they're talking about like the middle of the pack or whatever. And we're like, where is this guy? How come they're not talking about him?
Yeah, I showed up for stars, damn it.
Yeah, yeah. And like the few like short like clips of him, we like fell in love with the guy, right? He's like so well spoken and like just what he's saying, like he's always on point. He's just going around like on his scooter while everyone's just like battling in the middle. He's just like scootering around, winning races left, right, and center.
Yeah.
And then season 2, they finally interviewed this guy, and of course he is what we thought he you know, everything we thought he would be and more. So that was the first time I Googled anything about it. So obviously I Googled him, like Lewis Hamilton, and like all the, you know, whatever searches come up, like Lewis Hamilton age, Lewis Hamilton salary, whatever, net worth. So of course I'm like, Lewis Hamilton wife, like that's the one I go for.
Right.
And then
not yet. Not yet. Jordan, watch out.
I should watch out. He has like a huge man crush on him.
It's hard not to. Yeah,
exactly.
Would you say he's your favorite, I guess, from the show?
Yeah, I think so.
Did you find that you had any other like favorite teams or other drivers that you were intrigued about?
Definitely him. So I know they obviously had Daniel Ricciardo. I don't know why in my head I always think he's Ricky Ricardo. Like, I don't know if that's like a real person or not, but that's just
Ricky Ricardo was the husband on I Love Lucy.
Okay, yeah.
From like 1942 or whatever it was.
Don't know why.
That's fair.
Season 1, it was interesting to obviously hear his story, and I was surprised actually that he switched teams.
Yeah.
At that time.
Yeah.
Which that whole process is surprising.
It's weird
how they go about. Let's just sign contracts like a third into this season, and like one way, like it's crazy.
10 teams, 20 drivers.
Yeah.
And people are just kind of moving around behind the scenes and whatnot. Yeah.
So I find that really interesting. And then I guess also the process, like who's like the engineer.
Right.
who's supporting the driver or like directing the driver,
Mm-hmm.
even totally know, but we found that kind of funny at the end.
Yeah.
More so because we would imitate them.
Give it to us. What do you mean exactly? what are you saying?
Driving has never been the same.
Fantastic. This is great news. Do you guys wait, so I'm mixing together like real F1 in my head
Yeah.
and the show, so I have to kind of separate it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure they make all the noises in the show that like actual F1 races make. Like when a driver is going to talk to his engineer or vice versa,
right.
When you're watching a race, there's a little like a beep sound to clue in the broadcasters.
Right.
But you guys have never heard that before, right?
No.
So
you
guys,
think it's like some seamless, like we're on a phone call together.
Fair.
And so, yeah, we're like on the highway, Jordan's driving. I'd be like, push, push it.
This is even better than I thought it could be. That's amazing.
Yeah. So that's what we.
Does he do it to you when you're driving as well?
We do it even when we're not driving.
Oh man, that's so good. I love this so much.
So we binge watch this show. Like we binge watch all of the shows. I think for me, I just need to know what happens next. Maybe that's the excitement. I don't know, but I'm just like, I just need to know.
Yeah.
I just want to know. So we watched it pretty quickly, like the 3 seasons over just a few weeks. And so we had finished the show. And I think I messaged you at that time to be like, we need to talk about the show. I need to talk to somebody about the show. And anyways, the next morning, we were out, it was like a weekend or something. And Jordan was like, I think I felt you wake me up last night because he was making a sound while he was sleeping. And I was like, yes, I did. And he's like, so I had this dream. He's like, I was a Formula One race car driver. And I'm like, were you making this sound during your dream? And he's like, yes. I'm like, makes sense. That's the sound you were making.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Thanks, Damien.
Wow. That's all because of my show.
Yeah. See? We would have never had any of these experiences.
I don't think I'm going to be able to get in my car again without thinking about you and Jordan pretending to be racer and engineer.
Yeah. So we live not too far from the highway. So you can't hear it during the day. But at night when we're sleeping, it's like dead quiet. You can hear when people are speeding. And of course, we're like racing. We're racing.
Amazing. So have you ever watched an F1 race?
No. So we've talked about it. So we don't have cable.
Exactly. That's what I was going to get to.
Streaming services. So we talked about that and we're like, do you think we would like watching the real race? And we're like, it's kind of long. They're like racing for like 2 hours.
Yes.
So we're like, maybe we like the show because we almost get the best parts of it. Like all the drama. And then sometimes they'll show the same race in a different episode, but from the perspective of a different driver and their experience during that race.
Right.
But yeah, we're like, I don't know if you could sit through and I'm like, I don't know, Damien watches it. He loves it. He has a whole routine around it.
Yeah. So if you can find your way to it, the drama is there, but it's in different places. So there is, I would say there's definitely drama at the end because they interview almost everybody as soon as the race is over.
Right.
So I think you guys would enjoy that because if controversial things happened in the race, most of these people aren't really interested in being politically correct
Right.
around talking about their competitors, right? So
Yeah.
they'll usually give you some good stuff.
Yeah.
The races are usually an hour and a half ish.
Okay.
So it is a long time, but because it's not NASCAR and they're not
Mhm.
driving around in a circle,
Right.
I think you'll still find it interesting.
That's what Jordan mentioned as well. He's like, the
Yeah.
track is different, you know, there's
Yeah.
different like turns or whatever it may be. Do they like, is there commentary?
That's what I was going to get to next.
Okay.
Is the people that work for Sky Sports and for F1
Yeah.
are maybe the best commentators in all of sports.
Right.
I don't know if the wool is being pulled over my eyes because they have funny accents.
Yeah.
Right? I don't really think that's what it is, but it definitely adds an element of, oh, these dudes know what they're talking about. Like
Yeah.
these dudes and ladies
Right.
are on point
Yeah.
because they sound funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
For sure.
they're so good.
Yeah.
They're so good. They've got stories, they've got information. It's really good. I think right about now is a good time for you to find your way to it,
Right.
because they're changing up some of the rules. And I think they're going to start having sprint races on Saturdays.
Okay.
So it's about grid, like positioning for where
Yeah.
you start the big race.
Right.
But on Saturdays, they're going to start doing like a 30-minute race or like
Okay.
a 15-lap race.
Okay.
And basically wherever you finish, they're going to regroup you and put you on a grid for the main race. But you'll
Okay.
get a little race the day before.
Right.
So that might be the touch you need to kind of get into it.
Interesting.
I think that starts in like, if not next week, like 2 weeks. I'll let you know.
Okay.
But,
Yeah, please do. I think
but
we would. I think it is
Yeah.
something we would like just watch or at least try
yeah,
to see what it's like.
it's so cool that you guys have that little thing that you do around it. But that's really cool.
Can I ask one question though?
Yeah,
about
yeah, yeah.
that?
What's up?
Isn't it, don't you find it weird how often the pit crew screws up? I'm just like, your job,
Yeah,
like start to finish, last 45 seconds tops. Like your active time is like 2 seconds.
yes, yeah,
But like,
yeah,
you know, like
Yeah.
you have one job, grab the tire, you
Yeah.
know, grab the right tire, whatever. And it's like, and I don't know. So my question is like, I don't know if, so it's like you have whatever, your principal, you're the engineer, like in front of the screens. And it's like the rest of the crew is like in the
Mhm.
pod, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Like watching the race. And I'm like, are they not hearing? I was like, maybe they don't hear when like the driver's boxing or whatever, like gonna come to the pit stop.
yeah.
Because there's so many where they're like, you know, like, "Oh, that's our guy. Like, oh crap, I gotta get the tire." Like,
So 2 things. One, that show is known to fabricate things.
okay.
Okay. Like people know that show fabricates things all the time.
Clearly, I'm like, oh my God.
That I'm going to get to that in point number 2. But number 1, they fabricate shit all the time for drama, and it
Gotcha.
works, right? So it's like, yeah, exactly. You're not alone. So it's like, if you can watch the show knowing some of it's real
Yeah,
and some of it's just entertainment,
fair. Yeah.
then
We
I think
figured.
it gets even better. You're just
Yeah.
like, oh, wow, these guys are amazing storytellers.
Yeah.
They're just willing to lie to my face on stuff I could find out. I could find out is fake, right? Fine, fair. The second point is occasionally, because I think all the teams can hear the radio transmissions, right?
Okay.
So occasionally a driver will just show up. Like
Okay.
he'll be 2 turns away from the pit and he's like,
Right.
I'm coming in, and then they're scrambling. So sometimes
Right.
it's real, but other times Netflix is
Yeah.
just lying, just dirty fibbers.
I'm just like, they just told him to box. Like he's coming.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
still there, like
yeah.
watching the race. I'm like, what are you literally 45 seconds.
Yeah, stop picking your nose and
Yeah.
get the tires ready, man. But it's funny you bring that up because like Red Bull's team is crazy fast at all their pit stops,
Right.
and Mercedes is like right up at the top, and they've been notorious like the last couple of years
Right.
for just screwing stuff up.
Yeah.
This is all you
I'm
do.
like, Lewis Hamilton didn't lose. You guys lost.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't his fault.
There was a race this year where Lewis's teammate Valtteri came in,
Right.
and what they said was they machined the nut onto his wheel. So basically, they just tried to get it off so much that it got essentially secured onto the, and they had to like hack it off back at the garage like a day later. And they have reasons for why it happened and whatnot. But you're like,
of course.
this is all you guys do is change tires, man. How did this happen? At the one time it can't happen. It's,
and I'm just like, who would you want to be in that crew? Or who would you not want to be? I'm like, I would hate to be the guy at the front with that little thingy thing that lifts the car.
right.
I'm like, I'm scared they won't stop.
Sometimes they don't.
Right? That's what Jordan was saying. Exactly.
Sometimes they don't. And now what I want to hear is is when you and George, someone screws up something in the house. I want to hear the communication when someone left the fridge door open or the bathroom light on.
Yeah.
And someone has to come get them.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
That's my fault on me.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, you pee, you flush, wash your hands, turn the light off. This is all you got to do every time for your whole life. Yeah,
Nothing's changed.
exactly. That's what I want to hear. I don't know if I have any other F1 questions for you. Did you have any other F1 stuff you wanted to talk about?
No, I should probably Google a little bit more. I did just to see like how much one of the cars cost,
Oh,
like to make.
yeah.
$14 million or something. Like
Yeah.
it could be up to, I'm like, oh my gosh.
And then what happens when you crash it? What are we
Yeah, exactly.
What are we talking about?
That's what I was surprised in one of the first races they showed, like one of the first episodes, where someone's like the front wing. So they came to the pit and just took the whole thing off.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
what is happening?
Yeah, that's one of the parts that seems to get caught up in traffic a lot.
Right.
And if something's wrong with it, it's bad news. So they've developed this whole front wing piece that comes off and on.
Yeah.
And apparently costs hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Oh.
And if you're watching, I don't think you see it in the show, but if you're watching a race, I feel like I'm remembering this correctly. Close to their garage, you can just see like racks and racks of wings just waiting. And I know they're all slightly different for whatever racing thing they needed to do.
Yeah.
But it's just the money.
Yeah.
The money.
I don't think I understood until they talk about it in the show, but never like how much, and they have to get like sponsors and things like that. But I didn't really understand like how much.
Yeah. And
that's just for the car alone.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's totally crazy and so delicious. Like, it's like I still have not finished watching the third season. I'm saving it as much as I can. It's like,
I applaud you for that.
I have to, because it's too good.
So I know sometimes Jordan's like, should we sleep? And there's like no answer. And you just kind of wait for this, next episode, whatever, starting into. And I'm like, oh, let's start it.
I rarely get into those binging situations. I talked about it a couple weeks ago or whatever, but I found myself there with the Mighty Ducks, the newest.
You mentioned, yes.
Yeah, the newest season of the Mighty Ducks had me rolling through it. And I just finished my first Korean drama. I might cut all of this out because I want to talk about this show.
I watched my first Korean drama during the pandemic as well.
Yeah.
Because at one point I felt like we had run out of things to watch.
Hmm.
And then also, I think I explained to you, my friend messaged me and told me she had found my doppelganger.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
That's always fun.
And she sends me a photo of like the lead character in this show. And I'm like, you clearly don't remember what I look like.
Yeah, it's been too long.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the show?
It was Crash Landing on You.
I've heard.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
heard.
That one.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was. It took me a little bit to get into it as well. I'm like, first episode, I'm like, that's just not me. Like,
first of all,
like me.
Forget the content of this show.
Yeah.
That's not me.
And then, first episode, I'm like, like, why am I watching this? Like, it's kind of corny, which, I kind of expect a level of that. So I'm like, okay, I'll keep going. And then like second episode, I'm like, and I think it was like the third episode, I start to really like the character, like the main two characters, like the female and the male, more so the male. And then I'm like, oh, this is why people watch. And then it just gets better and better, right? Like character development, like their storyline, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's always like some sort of like twisted. I don't know if in your show, but like I feel like it's always some sort of like twisted love triangle. And it's always like heart-wrenching.
Yes. So when you said you started watching Korean dramas, so that's how you knew you got to the end of Netflix. I was like, hey, hold on a second. The Korean drama I'm watching is spectacular. This is the beginning of Netflix as far as I'm concerned. I'm like, what are you watching?
Yeah, I've had like a whole bunch of different like obviously because I've watched that, all of the recommendations are like Asian dramas, like what are you doing to Netflix?
I'm making it better.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't realize there's a whole bunch of like the same actors.
Right.
I guess they are the actors.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen it. I haven't watched the second one since.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I've had one under my belt, I feel like, it's only natural I watch another one.
Itaewon Class.
Exactly.
Make that the second one. I'm excited because the person who recommended it to me obviously liked it.
Right.
And someone recommended it to him, so they liked it too. But it's a very small sample size.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm like, are we all idiots and the show's trash? Or or is it good? So like, let's get someone from outside the circle and see if it's amazing, because it feels amazing.
Okay, it'll be something I watch on my own time.
Yeah. Jordan's not into it.
We like in our living room space, his desk is next to the couch basically.
Yeah.
And so I'll be watching like the Korean drama and he's there like playing games or whatever. And every 5 minutes he's like, how are you watching this? Like he's just listening.
I'm gonna wait, do you watch it dubbed?
No.
Oh, okay.
But he's just obviously just hearing that and like, Korean and
I'm gonna make a statement right now.
Yeah.
Jordan is going to watch the show.
Okay.
And he's going to like it.
I'll let him know.
Just be like, just have it on just like Drive to Survive.
Yeah.
Just have it on one day. He'll ignore it. He'll be like, why are you? And then just be like, Damien thinks you might like this show. Don't put too much on it. Just be like, he thinks, just, you got to give it 2-3 episodes. Just have a look.
Yeah.
Every actor, like, how was Crash Landing on You? How did you enjoy that?
I did like it. Like I said, after kind of the first few episodes, I really liked the storyline.
Yeah.
And so the characters, I felt like I actually felt the main character, the lead actress, was really annoying at the beginning.
Yeah.
But I like fell in love with her by the end of the show. And so, yeah, I liked it. I didn't mind it. I did like it. Yeah. And I had to binge through it.
Yeah.
Same thing. Like, I just want to know what happened.
Give me
Right?
the
Like,
end. Give me the end of the story. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Our friend Chung actually, she told me about it too.
Yes.
So it's in my list. I got to start it up.
Yeah,
But
she
yeah.
like sends me the theme song through Spotify as we're like reminiscing about the show.
Yeah. It's good that that's come up now, because you said something else to me that was surprising. And it was that you and Chung watched 2 episodes of Indian matchmaking together on the phone.
Yeah, maybe even more than that, actually. Maybe more episodes, but yeah, we were on like a video chat.
Yeah.
So this was closer to like the beginning of the shutdown, but we were like video calling a little bit more often, just like hang out, like check in and hang out. And we happened to like stumble upon it. Like she stumbled upon it herself, and then I did myself as well. And we were like so excited. So we are like, you want to just watch it? Like, yeah. So we are like, have our phone set up or whatever. She had her laptop set up. And we're just like, okay, press play now. Like, you know, so that we're at this watching at the same time. And then, yeah, we just watched it while being on video with one another.
How much fun was that?
It was a lot of fun.
That sounds so fun.
Yeah, it was obviously like we were there with each other, but obviously physically not.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was good. It was a lot of fun. It's a funny show. Like, it's an interesting show, but the matchmaker, she's a pretty funny lady. She's pretty blunt in her assessment and opinions of her clients. So that's always funny. And then, you know, we just talk about, oh, we really like this person. We hope they get together, or whatever it may be. But yeah, it was good. We watched, I think, like more than 2 episodes.
More than 2 episodes. So like, I know there are various apps and things like you can get so you can watch things with people at the same time.
Yeah.
I've never done it. I was not even remotely interested in it until you told me that you guys did it. And I was like, that sounds kind of cool. But did you guys talk through the show? Did you have to pause? Like, or did you just sit in silence and gaze at each other from time to time? Like, how did it go down?
No, we talked through it. So there's like no pausing unless someone had to like use the bathroom or something or whatever it was. But like we basically talked through it, and we were just like us basically. If something was funny, we'd be like laughing out loud.
Yeah.
They're like, oh my gosh, that's so ridiculous, or like that's so funny, or that person's crazy, or whatever it may be. So we were just kind of talking throughout the show. And same thing, like I said, it almost felt like we were sitting next to each other on the couch, but not.
Yeah. Would you do it again? Not even necessarily with her, but like.
Yeah, I have. And I have, even like before the pandemic, I did with a friend of mine who is from Toronto, but moved to Vancouver and now lives in Vancouver. So we, we went to high school together. And so we used to, you know, do our homework, quote unquote, over the phone, but always over like Gilmore Girls episodes. Like that's what was playing at the time.
Right.
And we would always talk and like, you know, watch the episode together. And that was like a normal thing for us all throughout like high school. And then once she moved, we were like, let's just watch a movie together. And we like really corny movies, like Christmas movies.
Right.
So she's like, let's watch, you know, this and this together. I'm like, sure. So we did the same thing where we were like, okay, 3, 2, 1, play. And then, yeah, we're just like on video and we're just like, whatever, laughing through it or talking through it. So
you make it work.
You
just make it work.
Yeah, exactly.
So Indian matchmaking with Chung.
Yeah.
But you are a dating show person. A dating show person.
I don't know if that makes me sound better or worse than saying that I like trashy TV.
So I'm going to put it. This is a thing now where I'm constantly giving this woman credit for maybe my favorite thing I've ever heard, especially with what I'm trying to do right now.
Yeah.
So Fran Lebowitz, opinion writer, and she has a TV show now on Netflix called Pretend It's a City.
Okay.
She talked about guilty pleasures.
Right.
And she said, there's no such thing, because anything you can derive pleasure from, you shouldn't necessarily could
Right.
feel guilty about it, right? So it's like all of these shows people watch, they're
Yeah.
making them for entertainment
For sure.
and you're watching them for entertainment. So it's
Yeah.
like we got to remove any shameful bad feelings.
I know, I was gonna say maybe not guilt.
Yeah.
I feel a little embarrassed, but whatever.
Embarrassed got to go too. That's got to leave as well. It's just stuff that makes you feel good. Either it makes you laugh, it makes you cry, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay. With that said, Love is Blind, Too Hot to Handle,
Yeah.
Dating My Ex. These titles are bonkers, first of all. Okay. Crazy titles.
Yeah.
What keeps bringing you back to the dating shows? What is it? What are the pieces? What are the morsels?
One, it's like it's just easy to watch. You don't have to think about anything.
You
like,
barely
just,
have to even look at it, right?
Exactly. Like
Right.
it's concerning too because sometimes I'm like, am I getting dumber by watching some of these things? I'm like, whatever. Sometimes it's just easy. Like after you've worked, like I do a lot of computer work. So when we watch shows, sometimes I don't want to have to think or really focus per se.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I find it was that first one, so Love is Blind.
Okay.
I think we usually look like if it's like sometimes we'll scroll through the top 10 list. And if it's on there, we're like, oh, what's this? And we'll look at like the trailer and the description. And it's basically that like you haven't watched it at all, right?
No.
You're missing out.
I for whatever I think I did it when I was younger. Like I
Right.
remember watching some of the dating shows when I was like a teen,
Right.
but I've fallen out of it and
Yeah.
none of them pull me back in. Although
Right.
there's one I want to bring up to you to find out if you've heard of yet. But go on.
So I thought this one was interesting, like the concept. I guess.
This is Love is Blind?
Love is Blind,
Okay.
yeah. So basically you're going to meet somebody, you're basically behind them. You won't see them, basically. You're going to get to know somebody without seeing them to see if you build a connection. And then if you do, like it's between like guys and girls. So like the guy's going to propose to you before you meet each other, before you see each other.
Propose dinner?
No, like propose to. How do you not watch that?
Okay, I hear you now. I hear you.
Right, so I'm like, okay, like that's a good concept to like really get to know someone, see if you can build a relationship purely off of like your connection, like
Right.
emotional connection or whatever. So they, it almost looks like pods facing one another, There's basically a wall. So, one person's entering a room from one side, the other person's entering a room from the other side. And obviously, again, you can't see each other. And then you're just talking to one another and getting to know one another to see if you build connections. Obviously, people do. And yeah, it's just really interesting to just see people go through that process, I guess, of like getting to know one another,
Right.
what like really clicks, what's important to, each person, what are they looking for? And then how that translates once you see each other. So then it's like you have that first part of the show or whatever, or this process. They propose to you. You say yes or no. And then if you say yes, it becomes the second part where you go on this like vacation to see if, you also connect physically at that point, I guess.
Okay.
And then like to put it all together. And then at the end, there's like a wedding. Like you actually get married.
This is like a year later?
No, this is like 30 days later or something. I don't remember the time frame. It's short. It's like short. How do you not watch this?
I gotta say, you might have just sold me on episode 1.
Right?
Wait, does that all happen inside of an episode, or is that over the course of the whole season?
The course of the season. So
Okay.
it's like a couple of episodes of them meeting and just talking in those rooms, like not seeing each other, and then whoever says yes or who are matched up and agree to see where it goes, they continue on, and then they will continue on till the end, and you will have like a ceremony, and then you will decide at that point whether or not you guys are going to actually move forward with getting married or not.
Right.
Like in that moment.
Wild.
right?
Um, I've heard of and seen Too Hot to Handle. That's the one where you're not supposed to be handling anything, right?
Yes. So
Okay.
that's like super different.
Yeah. That's
Same but different.
yeah. But I mean, does Love is Blind have a bunch of hot people on it too? Like, just you're clearly here because you have over 50,000 Instagram followers,
right.
and you're really hot.
I don't I don't know if that was part of their selection. Like there were some good looking people on there, but I don't know if that was necessarily like, whereas like Too Hot to Handle, I think they were selecting from that pool of people, although I don't know if I thought they were hot.
I know.
Some of them, but I get it. Like it's that pool. But yeah, I thought it was kind of different. I think like Love is Blind, I think they were kind of going in with the intention of trying to see if they can meet someone and build that emotional connection.
Mhm.
Whereas Too Hot to Handle, they're trying to see if they can bring that out of these people who clearly don't display any of that and don't want any of that.
No. We're not here for proposals.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless it's I propose dinner at my place tomorrow. Yeah. And dating my ex.
Yeah, I don't know why. I just thought that was interesting.
I mean, on its face, of all the titles, it's like, why are you, who's dating their ex? Yeah.
It's true, but it's basically that. I think it's like 4 or 5 couples, and they literally ask a person that they have dated in the past to see if they would try dating again, and to see if it'll work a second time. So I just found it interesting just to see like why, why you would like what happened. Obviously, I don't know, I find relationships interesting, I guess. Like everyone is so different, and every relationship is so different, and what goes into it is so different. So it was interesting. There were some really interesting stories on there, like one where one of the I don't know what you want to call them, like contestants or like one of the people.
That does sound funny, but I think you're right.
He wanted to reach out to someone he had met. So he's an older gentleman. He's like 55 or something like that. And he had met someone. He's from Australia. He met someone when he was traveling in Canada, a female that was in the States, and they both, I guess, were in Canada, came across one another, and then had like an instant connection kind of thing, rendezvous, like dated for a little bit, but obviously once they went back to their home countries, the long distance thing didn't work. So each of them ended up moving on to get married, like have kids, and then they're actually both divorced at this time. So this is like 30 years later.
Yeah.
Like he hasn't talked to her this whole time. And he asked to see if like she would meet up with him and see if they could like start dating again. So that's one of them. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. That one sounds like the one probably I would most likely consider watching, because it seems so much more human, than cartoon character, if you will, of like a Too Hot to Handle.
Yeah.
But I think it's super relatable too, because you've probably got a lot of people walking around wondering what's going on with their ex, or why they couldn't make it work with their ex, right?
Right.
You did say when we started talking about all these dating shows, there was a lot of we's. We watch Jordan watches all of these dating shows too.
You might have to cut this
out. Let me know at the end. He's in with all of them.
Yes.
And this isn't a guys don't watch dating shows thing. No. I'm just like, and I don't know Jordan that well either. Yeah. I'm just like, so Jordan's watching the dating shows too.
Yeah. So we watch most shows together, like 95% of them.
Yeah.
We watch together.
Wow. So no, he shuts it down at Korean dramas. Just say
and
no.
There's some other, like, I'll call them like girly shows. So sometimes like we'll go through, like I said, like the titles, and we see the snippet of like the pilot. and and we'll watch the pilot, and he'll be like, "This seems like a show you'll like to watch." Yes.
You're a rom-com lady too, right?
Oh yeah,
Big time. Yeah, big
big
time
time.
rom-com lady. Does he watch those with you, or are those the ones where he's like,
Most of them he will. Sometimes like we'll put on a title and he's like, really? I'm like, okay, fine, we don't have to watch
yeah,
it.
yeah.
But most of the time, like he'll just watch like whatever's on.
That's so cool. I mean, I'm happy people can find the things they want to watch. They don't I watched two kind of relationship movies recently.
Okay. Which ones?
I had an Apple TV subscription
Okay.
because I got a new phone,
Nice.
and I watched On the Rocks,
Okay.
which is Rashida Jones, Marlon Wayans, and Bill Murray.
Okay.
And I enjoyed it. It was cool. Apple TV makes some things that look really good. Like
yeah.
the technology in Apple's cameras, they've got cameras. Yeah, they've got cameras everybody else doesn't have.
Right.
Or post whatever it is. I don't know. But it was fun. Bill Murray, like peak Bill Murray, like
right.
Bill Murray does like one movie every 4 years. It's like, I feel like doing this, and then when you watch it, you're like, that's why Bill Murray wanted to do that, right? And then I also watched a movie called Duck Butter,
okay,
starring Alia Shawkat and several other people that I'm sure you don't know, not just you, but like most people.
Yeah.
And it was like a very heavy kind of relationship movie.
Mm-hmm.
A very adult movie, if you know what I mean. But it was really cool. Like in watching it, I was like, I can see some of the things in past relationships,
right?
Like in my own past relationships in that movie, which was interesting. And I imagine that's why people lend themselves to these movies so often.
Right.
But like, I'm like, I don't watch these things. I'd
say I don't think you haven't seen much.
Yeah, you know, it's like, but if I hadn't watched Duck Butter, I wouldn't have understood how relatable some of the things I've gone through actually are, right?
For sure.
So that was cool. But the wheeze with the dating shows and Jordan, I was just like, oh.
He didn't watch he watched the first two with me, but not the last one.
Yeah. So how agreeable are you guys typically when it's time to pick something to watch?
I think we're both pretty easygoing about things, unless like
95% is high.
Yeah.
That's no problems.
It is high. I think especially like obviously when we're together, right? So there's days where like Jordan works on Sundays, for example. So that's like my time.
Yeah.
So that's where sometimes I'll watch my girly shows, I call it.
That's what I want to know.
Yeah. What am I watching today
when Jordan is not there? Linda is fully unleashed. And she's like, it's time for what?
There's other like trashy shows.
What are those?
So I watched Selling Sunset.
That sounds so familiar.
It's about a brokerage. So it's a brokerage started by two twin brothers in there's like in Hollywood or something, or LA.
Yeah.
And they basically have a team of like 6 female real estate agents, and they just sell like crazy homes in LA, like just $1 million homes.
Yeah.
And so like that's the cool part of it. Like seeing, I like shows with like spaces and homes and renovations, like all of that stuff as well. But then the other part is like all the like catty drama between all these women. Obviously.
And so this is a show he definitely would not be down for. Or
he
you don't even want to ask. You're like, I want to watch this myself when I want to watch it.
I think he watched maybe one or two and was like, same thing, like, why are you watching this? I'm
Right,
like,
right, right.
okay, I'll watch it on my own time.
Yeah. You're like,
Yeah.
thank God I wanted to
Yeah.
watch this by
Like, don't
myself
worry.
anyway.
We can find something else. So I think we're pretty good about that.
Mm.
It's funny, you asked me once before, like some shows that we stopped watching.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So one of them was Money Heist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we started that same thing, I think closer to the beginning of like the shutdown.
Yeah.
It was like the top 10, and as you know, it's like, have you seen it?
I know it's been
Okay.
recommended. It's on my list, but
Okay.
it might be removed after what you have to say next.
So yeah, we watched, I think maybe season one, maybe season two, or parts of season two.
Mm-hmm.
So it's obviously dubbed over. It's like filmed somewhere else or whatever
Yeah.
it is. So we watched it. We like kind of liked season one, and and then we stopped watching. And then I couldn't remember. I like just in preparation for this, I was thinking about it, and I'm like, I think it's because we thought what was happening in the show wasn't very good anymore. Like we just weren't enjoying where the storyline was going. And then actually right before we were doing this, I asked Jordan, I was like, why did we stop watching it? He's like, because I was complaining that it was so stupid and you got mad at me for complaining about it. I kept saying it was so stupid. So you're like, let's just stop watching it.
And then you're always together, so you could never start it back up.
Yeah.
If you wanted to.
Yeah, exactly. So we just kind of stopped at that point.
It's funny because like that seems in regular life, you don't seem like an extreme person to me.
In what way? I'm not actually. No, in every way, I'm not.
Yeah, so. Yeah. You just don't seem like like a person that lives on the extremities, right? But your TV watching is like, I'm watching all of this today, or I've seen an hour and I wish they would burn every copy of the show they had. and I'm like, what is it about a show? Like, what is it missing? What does it have that you don't want? Mm-hmm. Like, what is it in shows generally where you're like, I'm not watching any more of this. I'm not doing this to myself anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it's the characters. Okay. I think if I start to like a character and I understand like who the character is and what they're about, and they suddenly change the character and they start doing things or saying things that are kind of outside of this character that I've come to know and like. Yeah. I kind of don't like that. I don't need them to be like super predictable and you can do different things, but when they like really switch them and it becomes
almost unreasonable.
Yeah. I'm like, that's not him. Like, he would never do that. Yeah.
It's funny you bring like that specific thing up. Like I don't know if you've ever seen Billions.
No.
Billions is a show about hedge fund managers and like crazy rich people and crazy smart people, etc. And I think there are 5 seasons or 6, whatever it is, the most recent season to be released. The head guy of the like the lead character makes kind of like this like 90-degree turn in his personality. Yeah. And he was already kind of an unsavory type of dude anyway. Right. And you're like, why is he doing this now? Like it's so over, like it's almost over the top where he's going now. Yeah. And I'm like, do I want to stop watching this show? And the thing is, if you've watched this show, you know I don't stop watching shows. It's like, if you got me to start watching this show, you're going to get me to finish watching this show. For sure. It's just like, I'm in for whatever story you want to tell. Yeah. It might not be great, but I'll watch. But like, I think it came up with us when you were talking about New Girl.
That's the character I was talking about.
Right. She did that flip and you're like, I'm out of here.
No, it wasn't her. It was one of her roommates.
Oh, okay.
Schmidt, but it almost kind of so his character changed and then they introduced a new character. And it almost like it was almost like too much was changing. And then it felt like they were trying too hard.
Right.
So then we're like, are you running out of things already? Like at this point where you have to do such a drastic character change or like introduce this new person and everything's just kind of all out of whack. So we kind of like slowed down and we're like, because we just, same thing. We always look for some sort of like sitcom to just watch like in the background casually.
Right.
And so we just started that, even though it's an older one. But
are you aware they remade Gossip Girl?
yes.
Are you excited for this?
You know what? I didn't finish Gossip Girl, the original. I know.
How? What? What happened?
I don't know what happened. But then I learned it got like even better because my sister was talking about it at the time. She's like, oh, like I'm so in love with Chuck. I'm like, Chuck, you're such a dick. Like, what's happening in this show? I don't know why I stopped. I don't know if it's like, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
I mean, I think you should finish the original Gossip Girl because it's Gossip Girl.
Yes.
But the new one, I don't know much about it.
Yeah.
It looks like the canceling police got to them in casting and everybody's in the show. Everybody's in the show. I think I saw a Black person that was bald that may have pronouns them and they.
Right.
I'm sure I saw an Asian person. Everybody's in the show.
Yes.
Okay.
Gotcha.
I don't know if that's going to make it better or worse.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know our friend Vita from back in the day.
Yeah.
She got me on Gossip Girl, the original.
Yeah.
So I feel like I have to watch the show.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure my expectations. I'm not sure my expectations are high. Like I might tap out of this.
Yeah. I will try the original one.
Yeah.
You can let me know if you start this new one.
Yes. You got to go. It's got to be somewhere. It's got to be on Netflix.
Yeah.
Or something, right?
Yeah. I'll find it. Good point, Ashley. That might be something I should.
Yeah, that might be the new thing.
Yes.
So I've given you 2 already. You got the new Korean drama for you. You've got the old Gossip Girl.
Yeah.
Do you have any recommendations for me or the people? Any 2, 3, any genres, whatever you like. Floor is yours.
Okay. So I think the first one I would recommend is Schitt's Creek, which I know you've watched already.
Yes.
I don't know if anybody else has, but I would highly recommend it. I think it's an amazing show. I think it's a very necessary show. Yes. Almost.
Yeah.
But just so well done. Like just so well done. We felt the first season was a little bit slow, but then it just got better and better and better. Like every single season, like the character development is amazing, the plot, the story, like all of that. So a friend of mine recommended it. So I've known this person for quite a few years, like super, super nice person, like very friendly, but like a devout Christian. And she recommended, like she highly recommended this show. Like she loved it. I think she watched it twice. She watched like the little, the making of Schitt's Creek, session that they had as well. She's like, watch it all. It's so good. So that was good. Like it was surprising to me. I wasn't sure what her thoughts were
right.
around that. So it was actually really interesting for me to learn that about it. I still don't know what her opinion is. It doesn't really matter, but it was just really nice for me to learn that she enjoyed a show with that type of content.
Like the power of great art.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I wonder how many times the makers of that show have heard a story just like you just told us.
Yeah, I'm sure lots. I don't know if you saw the kind of making of Schitt's Creek.
They probably aired it after, like
Yeah,
Or for the
I don't know if
finale?
it's
Yeah.
still on, but it was quite good. And
Hmm.
it was that they kind of talked about how they came up with the concept and kind of the process of starting off the show and casting for it.
Hmm.
But then they talk about kind of the impact and so much kind of love from people and people were reaching out to them with exactly those stories and how it's
Yeah.
impacted them and helped with communication or understanding and really brought people closer, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
Amazing
really,
show.
really good show. Yeah,
Great show.
I
Uh,
recommend that.
do you have any other ones?
Yeah. So there's one on Amazon Prime. It's called The World's Toughest Race.
The World's Toughest Race?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen that or heard
No,
of it
not
before,
yet.
but it's like 66 teams or something like that, and they're just competing in this like crazy, grueling race somewhere in like Fiji Islands or something like that.
Hmm.
But it's just like an insane race with like again teams from around the world. So we found that very interesting and
Um,
intense.
how many episodes?
I think there's probably, I don't know, anywhere from like 8 to 10.
Okay, that sounds
Yeah.
about right.
Yeah.
Are all teams getting to finish the race? Are teams getting eliminated on the way through?
You have to meet checkpoints by a
Hmm.
certain time. So yes, some teams will get eliminated because they don't hit that certain checkpoint. But it's just grueling.
Yeah,
Like
I can imagine.
I don't even remember, but it starts off like some like super long kayak or something, or like you're just in the waters for like kilometers upon kilometers and you're just out there for hours. And that's
I'm
how
in.
you start the race.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in for sure. Uh, is there are the teams, or do they break down and have interpersonal drama? Are the
They are definitely teams. I mean, I think there's some of that naturally because this is just like it's
just
just so
people?
intense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's like injuries along the way, obviously, like how do you deal with that or difference of opinion about how best to approach like the next part of the race or this part of the route.
Mhm.
So that's all interesting, but there's some teams who have done this race more than once. So this this is what they do. And then there's somewhere like this is the first time, and the age ranges like from adults all the way to very quite senior people who
Mm-hmm.
are terribly fit
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
still doing this. And it's really cool to hear some stories. Obviously, some do it with like parts of the teams or like family members, like father, son, sisters, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So yeah, we really like that one.
Those shows always stick out in my head of like what the human body is actually capable of doing.
Yeah,
Like every time you think you're working hard,
yeah,
you're like, it's not.
not even close.
that hour run you went on was difficult, huh? On all that flat
Yeah.
pavement. You know what I
The
mean?
comfortable dry shoes.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, exactly that. Oh, the your shoes falling apart a little bit. That's difficult. Mine's filled with mud
Yeah.
and rocks. And I went
Yeah,
up a hill. Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
It's yeah. Um, the world's toughest race. Okay. Did, did
Yeah.
did you have any other ones?
Yeah, one more. I didn't know if
Okay.
you'd like wanted three or something.
Oh,
I prepared
whatever you
three.
got. Whatever you got.
So this one's on Netflix. It's almost like it's by Brene Brown.
Mhm.
She's I don't know if you've ever heard of her.
I've heard of her. Yes, I haven't
So
watched any of her stuff.
okay, so she I guess kind of well she studies shame and vulnerability. So she's done like a really famous TED talk, actually a
Mhm.
couple of them,
Mhm.
and then she now has basically done a talk on Netflix. It's called The Call to Courage.
Okay.
So I thought that was interesting.
Okay. What did you like about she's discussing where the shame comes from and why you or how you could probably remove it?
Yeah, like some of that definitely. Like why we have shame, and I think it's just in order to build better connections or even to be like more creative and really open people up to things like that, we need to allow people to be vulnerable and to feel comfortable being vulnerable in order to like work through that process to basically, like I said, kind of building people's, like optimal connections and relationships or even through work. So just really being brave as well and just going for it, I think is really the take home message.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just showing up and just going for it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome. What a diverse, eclectic list of recommendations.
No dating shows. You're welcome.
Thank you. The thing is, like, I asked the people to come on and recommend some things.
Yeah.
And I'm slowly working my way through them because people are given 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And every single one has been fire. Yeah. Like every recommendation has been amazing. And I can't wait to get to yours.
No, for sure. Let me know.
Yeah, of course. But thank you so much for doing this. Sure. I appreciate it. It's always great to talk to you. Always great to see your face.
You too. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Good. All right. Take care, lady. I love you.
You too. Love you too. Take care. Bye.
Thank you once again for joining us on It's in the Details. Again, if you are so inclined, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, comment, rate, review. We appreciate it. Until next week, take care, y'all. Peace.